Queen. Welcome to the Women Consulting Corporate Podcast, where we empower women entrepreneurs to secure 5-figure, 6-figure, and 7-figure corporate deals. Today is an extra special episode because today I am joined by my homie lover friend, my husband, Born Logic Allah, who goes by Logic. Logic, welcome to the Women Consulting Corporate Podcast.
Indeed. Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
I'm so excited to have you here. I feel like a little kid. I feel different than some of the other episodes that I've had.
You should.
Oh, okay. All right. Here we go. So, Logic, can you introduce yourself and tell them who you are as an entrepreneur, the business that you own, the focus of your work?
Absolutely. And so once again, my name is Born Logic. Most people just call me Logic for short. I am the co-founder of Melaneyes Media. We specialize in telling the Black experience through a multitude of different ways, through documentary films, online presentations, and also online courses. So I always tell people that my business is Black history.
I love that. I love that. Well, you know I love that. What I think is really special about the episode that we are recording right now is in the work that I do in empowering women to land corporate clients, many of them have imposter syndrome or misinformation. And they're thinking, well, what does corporate buy? And how can I package my expertise or my passion to serve corporate clients? And particularly when it comes to women or women of color, many of them feel like they have to code switch or assimilate in order to serve the corporate space. And so there's a lot of fear and trepidation about that. And we have to do a lot of mindset coaching around it. And so I think you are the perfect example of someone who's standing on his square and packaging your passion and your mission and still being able to serve corporate clients. I'm really excited for people to be able to hear your story and the work that you do. So what I'd love is to start with, how did your business begin? And how has it evolved to where it is today?
Indeed. Well, officially, my partner and I started in 2017. Unofficially, I'll say in 2017, we created a project. It was a historical narrative based on the life of Malcolm X. It wasn't exactly a documentary, but it was close to a documentary. We produced that in 2017. It was really just a side project that he and I wanted to do. We didn't necessarily have a business structure. However, we saw a lot of success with that film. And so this made us start taking the business structure more serious. And so we decided to form a partnership in April of 2018. The next project that we had slated was a documentary film based on the local Black history of San Antonio, Texas. So we started producing that film late 2017, completed it in 2018. And that was our first official project. That film is called Walk on the River, A Black History of the Alamo City. So that was our first official product. That was our first documentary. And it led us to just doing more Black historical content pieces. We produced the second rendition of that film. We started hosting Black history tours in the city of San Antonio because people who had watched the film wanted to know how they could see some of the historical markers and landmarks that we mentioned in the movie. And so things were going well. And then COVID came.
Right.
And so we did not know exactly what we were going to do with ourselves. We had some content, but before that, we spent a lot of time doing private screenings in movie theaters. And doing the bus tour. However, when COVID hit and we were not able to do things in person, I remember you first suggested that we consider hosting things online and using Zoom. And I was like, what? Nobody is going to pay to watch a movie online like a theater. And on top of that, we only have like 2 movies. Like, that's not going to work.
Yep.
Lo and behold, it did work. And
of course, because I'm always right.
You're not always right, but when you are right, you're very right.
Okay.
And so I think that that suggestion really helped us broaden our horizon. It allowed us to be able to garner a larger audience base because primarily our customer our clients were in San Antonio, so it allowed us to broaden our scope, to broaden our horizons.
What does that mean specifically? Give them a picture. So you have an online viewing. How many people come, and where are these viewers from?
So initially, the first online showing that we had was for our Walk on the River 2.0, which had been released just that year, so it was the newest product. I think maybe maybe 50 people showed up to the first showing. So it was a success. And we did know how to charge for that. So we used what we call the honor system. We allowed people to pay whatever they felt like they wanted to pay or however they valued the experience. That went over well. And so from there, we just continue to weekly strive to have some type of film showing online. Did that answer your question?
It did. It did.
Yeah. And so from there, we just continued. We ran out of content really quick. We only had 3 films. And then we realized we didn't necessarily have to produce films. We could do presentations, which would be a mixture of slides, videos, and information. Because ultimately, what we came to understand is that the information was probably the most valuable thing that we were sharing with people. And so we started producing historical content in the form of just presentations. One of the first ones that we did was one on the history of lynching in America. We did one on the case for reparations, which was a very hot topic at that time. We did, because Versus was very hot at that time.
Well, you were obsessed with Versus when it first came out.
That was my thing, and I loved it. And so we decided to do a Versus-style battle with 2 juggernauts, MLK and Malcolm X. It sounds funny. But
it sounds funny to say, but it was a good one.
It was fun. People enjoyed it. So I
want to give context to what you're saying. So for those who may not know exactly what you're saying, and from behind the scenes, I know a little bit of this, is that as someone who is technically skilled, you all were putting on full film productions, right? And so you're skipping over the fact, I mean, when you all were doing movie premieres, I think it was like 300 people, sold out movie theaters, multiple showings. You're skipping over a little bit of clients and sponsors, but these were mass productions that you were doing. And so now when we're in a virtual environment due to the pandemic, you realize we don't have to produce a full short film or documentary. We can literally put up some slides and talk through the slides because people are most interested in the information and less interested in the technical savvy of what we're putting together, which I felt like was a bit of a journey for you as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a filmmaker, so I want everything to look beautiful. I want, drone scenes and moving characters and animation, and that takes sometimes years to produce. So we had to learn how to scale it down, get to the point of making sure people understand the information. So we really transitioned more from an entertainment company to an education company, in all honesty.
Right. Okay, so tell me where corporate clients come in. Bring us into where the money's coming from corporate.
Indeed. So the very first time we had any interaction with an entity outside of just an average citizen was when we partnered with the city of San Antonio after the premiere of our film. So we actually started dealing with corporate clients early. I don't think we looked at them as corporate clients, but the city of San Antonio asked us to come in and host a screening that they were willing to pay for. And so we literally set up that screening with the city. We found 3 sponsors, and so it was lucrative for us, and we decided that that was a viable option for us, and we continued with that. The other thing that we used to do with the films, how we had corporate clients, was that we would license the film, and so institutions, libraries, the city of San Antonio library system, we had a licensing deal with them where we allowed them to put our original Walk on the River film on the shelves, and they could rent it out to patrons. A lot of the colleges in town, we would license the film to. USAA had a partnership with us where they brought in their Black their Black employee group. And so we partnered with them to have a private screening. And so we had small inklings of the possibility, definitely didn't know how to maximize it.
And it's funny because from my perception of how you saw the business at this time, you didn't see this as oh, we have a division of our business. Let's go get corporate clients. These were things that were happening and you were doing, but you were not focused on them at all.
Yes. And we weren't even seeking them. People were coming to us, and I don't even think we understood our own value in that regard.
Right. So what shifted? Because now I know that you have a concerted focus, like you have a concerted effort for a corporate division of your business. What shifted and how did that come about?
So I will say probably around this time last year, we were doing the presentations online. I had a company reach out to us, and they did a lot of online events, escape rooms and quiz questions and trivia games. However, they had mentioned that some of their clientele wanted more serious activities.
Who were their clientele? Make sure they understand what you're saying.
Companies like Amazon, Salesforce, HubSpot, Big ID. So these were major corporations.
So I just want to make sure they follow this company. Their clients are major corporations. And what they do is they curated online events, team building experiences, and corporations would hire them for these online experiences for their teams,
yes.
Correct? Okay. And so this company who's curating online experiences for corporations comes to you because why?
They come to us because they need something in the realm of Black historical topics, Black culture, and Black experiences. And these events are virtual, so they were serving people all over the U.S. and sometimes all over the world. And so they wanted to provide more enriching experiences. And so they did a Google search, and they told us that we came up on their radar. And so they offered us the opportunity to come in during the month of February for Black History Month to provide Black historical programming. And at the time, I literally said no. I'm like, I don't have time for that. What are you talking? I got a business to run here. And so my partner and I, we sat down and we talked about it. And as we looked at our future, we weren't sure how we were going to continue, and times were getting hard. And so we said, well, maybe this is an opportunity in disguise. And so I agreed with the parent company to go ahead and host these presentations. And it was literally just me. I put together 2 different topics, 2 offerings.
Which were?
One was a Black historical museum tour. So it was a virtual tour of Black museums. We traveled to 6 different locations across the country.
Virtually?
Yes, virtually.
Right.
And then we had one called Black Cultural Impact, and we talked about how African Americans have impacted our society through various topics like music, food, cuisine, labor, infrastructure, inventions, and things like that. They went over pretty good. By the end of that month, I think I had presented over 70 times for that company.
That's crazy.
And not only was I surprised at the amount of traction that they had and the amount of interest, I was also very surprised with the amount of freedom that they gave me. I didn't have to water anything down. One of the first things that I thought when teaching Black history is that I'm going to have to tone it down or scale it back to some degree.
Right.
And they gave me a lot of free reign. They let me make decisions that I felt comfortable with. And it was very nice to be able to facilitate these interactions with people from all different walks of life in a corporate space and still be real and still be honest and true to who I am. So
you present these Black history experiences and presentations to about 70 corporations in the first month. And what was the response of the attendees?
They loved it. I got so much positive feedback. And I don't know what their other groups or presenters received, but I know for a fact they would have multiple conversations with me about how we could continue to partner. I received a lot of positive feedback. People said that they had really learned in a way that they hadn't before in such a short period of time. It really just boosted not only my confidence, but it helped me understand that our nation is changing, that the needs of our society are changing, and that the corporations are changing and the faces of corporations are changing, which I think sometimes people from an older generation, and I'm speaking about myself, may have to adjust to.
Yeah. And I want to call something out. So you had these early opportunities with licensing and things of that nature, but you were focused on educating individual consumers, right?
Yes.
So B2C was your bread and butter. But what you were saying is that you were getting to a space that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we had this period of time where everyone's at home, right? Everyone's at home, and because of what social justice issues were at the time, and the fact that they were top of mind for a lot of people. I feel like, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but during that time that people were home during the pandemic, there was a heightened sense of awareness and interest and advocacy around
Absolutely.
certain topics. And so your consumers are wanting to invest, wanting to learn. And then what I'm hearing is, as people were kind of integrating back into life as usual, back out in these streets, you were wondering how you all were going to maintain the revenue that you had during this time that people were home.
Absolutely.
And so it's like, how are we going to maintain traction in this B2C area? And then lo and behold, this partnership shows you corporations are spending, like they are interested, and you're not having to assimilate or water down your message in order to create the impact that you desire. Is that accurate?
No, that's very accurate, because 2020 was the first year of the pandemic. That was booming for us. People had stimulus checks. It was money available. 2021, when we started moving into more of a hybrid state, where people were starting to get back into the office. Some people were going back to work. Everyone wasn't at home. We were in this limbo phase, and it hurt us financially.
Yeah. So how did you take this experience? You see, oh my gosh, there's a market need here. There's 70 presentations in 1 month. How did you now flip that and turn that into a business model that you maintain until today for your own business?
No, that's a great question. So basically what I did is I nurtured that partnership with that parent company, and I made sure that we were in good standing, and I tried to continue to find ways to work with them. On the other hand, what I also did is I took what I learned from working with them and used that model to some degree, tweaked it, and had my own corporate offerings and our own ways to advertise that we were marketing and promoting different events and offerings for the corporate space based on what we had learned with that parent company.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I'm very proud and excited. So I think that's incredible. Do you mind sharing? Can you share in the month of February? Like, we're in Black History Month right now, and it's Valentine's Day, y'all. We're recording on Valentine's Day. It wasn't planned this way, but it's special.
But I mean, this is how we love, through business.
I know. We have to do a whole other podcast episode about the ups and downs. You and I have been full-time entrepreneurs for 7-8 years. We have 3 kids, a 6-year-old, a 17-year-old, and an 18-year-old. Our 10-year wedding anniversary is this May. And so we need like 4 other podcast episodes to talk about navigating parenting, full-time entrepreneurship, all of those things, and how business is our love language. Like, we love, I don't care what nobody else's advice is. Like, if he's not talking about business, I'm like, can we please talk about what's going on with business right now? But anyways, I already forgot the topic I was going to say. My point was, so how many presentations this month in February?
Indeed. So as of today, I think we have completed 36 presentations, and we have 69 more to go.
That's insane. Why did you do it like that? Why are you making me do math? What is that, 92? I'm over here.
Almost 100. I can't add either.
So you have like 100 presentations in 1 month.
Yes.
And I really don't want you to get in trouble, because I do not want us struggling. Can you say some of the corporations that are your clients without us not messing up our money?
Absolutely. So this month we work with Salesforce, Airbus. We've worked with, I just worked with Google last month. I want to throw that in there, though. Oh, man. I got a whole list on my phone, but some of the top corporations.
Okay. Yeah. All right. That's very cool. Okay. So you find out that you have this opportunity. You see it. And what I love about that is there's a quote by Beyonce in the movie Black is King that I always share because it resonates with me. And she says, if you don't see your reflection, you might think that you don't exist. And what I take away from that quote is the importance of representation and showing possibilities. Like, in my own entrepreneurial journey, sometimes my dreams were small because my perspective of possibility was so small. And then I would meet an entrepreneur and realize, like, I'll never forget one time, Nirka, I was at an event And I was just thinking about becoming a speaker, and Nirka dropped in a presentation how she spoke and made $60,000 from the back of the room in an hour. And I was like, oh shit, like, yo, that's like, you know what I mean? Like, I know some people don't like dropping numbers because they think it's crude and tacky, but I'm like, no, drop all the numbers. Tell me exactly what you're doing in your business, because that paints a picture of possibility for me. Like, maybe my dreams are small because I don't know what to compare them to, right? Anyway, so what I love about your story and your journey is, from my perspective, it was almost as if you didn't even see the possibility until you had this partnership. And then all of a sudden you see this partnership and you realize, I'm sitting on a gold mine, but I don't know how to package it appropriately. And through that partnership, you saw, here's who they're working with, here's how they're packaging it, and it helped you to better understand your positioning.
And you know what I really, if anybody can learn from any of this, one thing I really want to stress is that we changed nothing. We did not change the offerings. We did not change how we presented them. The only thing we changed is who and how we marketed them.
Come on. And didn't you make more money when you did it?
We made a lot more money.
Listen, I be trying to tell folks, you don't have to change who you are or what you do, but you can change your audience to be executive buyers and corporations. And maybe you might have to tweak your messaging a little bit because their interests, the outcomes they desire might be different. But it's taking what you do and taking it to a much better audience with a greater paycheck, right? Absolutely. So I love that. And I know we need to wrap up in a second. The last piece I do want to talk about as we wrap up is your growth as a business owner, because you can't do 100 presentations in a month. No. So, you know, I know we can't spend a ton of time here, but I think this is the natural progression of serving corporate clients for most people, is that, oh, shoot, I'm making more money. Wow, there's a lot more demand than I expected. And wait a second, this is bigger than me. So can you speak about, you know, and the good and bad, because we talk about like delegation, leadership, expanding your team, like, oh my gosh, that is painful. Do you mind sharing a little bit of your story?
No. So I had to hire people. I had to hire contractors to be able to assist with the production of presentations and also with physically presenting presentations. And it was difficult to trust people and to let go of the reins. But it was necessary. You have to check your ego at the door. I had to check my ego at the door. And I'm going to say this too. Yesterday, I got a call from someone interested in a presentation, but they were not, and I had worked with this company before, they weren't thrilled about me. They liked the information, but they didn't necessarily like how I presented it. And they asked me straight up, would somebody else be presenting it? And rather than saying, oh, hell no, you're going to get me. No, I said, well, do you have a preference? Or is there someone else, or what was going on? And so with that, I had to consider, is there somebody more fit to present it in the style that they want? But ultimately, as the CEO of my company, I have to be the quarterback. I have to call the plays. Sometimes I got to throw the ball where it needs to go. I might not be the receiver. I might not be able to do everything. And I shouldn't be doing everything anyway, because it limits the growth of my company. And ultimately, my goal is for us to be in a position where we can feed our families. And I have to understand that I'm forever in service. And if I'm continuing to serve not only the people that work for me and with me, but the partnerships that I have, I'm there to serve them. And serving is not about me. And if you understand that if you provide a service and you are truly striving to serve people, then you listen to the needs of people and you meet the needs of people. And so that's a humbling experience. But it reminds me that it's not all about me. It's about the lives that we're touching, because we're truly providing an educational service. People are seeing African Americans differently from how we present the information. And that's important. That goes far beyond me. That goes far beyond even this generation that I'm in. It is a job of service.
I love that. That's a great way to wrap things up. I know as entrepreneurs, we have our visions for our business. We have our egos about things, but they say, there's a quote that says, I don't do it for the income, I do it for the outcome. And if you're really doing it for the outcome, then we stretch, we grow, we evolve to create the impact that we say we're in it for.
Absolutely.
So I hope you all loved this episode as much as I did. And don't worry, we will be back with more episodes to just talk about relationships. I get so many questions about navigating relationships, marriages as an entrepreneur, being a family person, all of those things. So we will have more episodes on that. If there's a particular topic you want us to talk about, make sure you all message us. You can subscribe everywhere that you love listening to podcasts. Make sure you subscribe to Women Consulting Corporate. I am again your host, Liz J. Simpson, and we will see you in the next episode. Bye.